And we played around with the other kids, and everything was very nice on the ship. With all the money my father had paid extra, we had good cabins and all that. And then we landed in Shanghai in the summer of 1939. And it was completely different from anything we had ever seen before or known before. It was very hot, it was very dirty. Of course, there were hundreds and hundreds of Chinese milling around. And we didn't know anything that was going on there. Fortunately, there were relief organizations from America and also local organizations in Shanghai who helped the new people get settled. And they had places for them to live if they couldn't find their own place. And they even had kitchens to get our first few meals over there. It was very weird looking at all these people from Germany with their nice clothes on, and the men were wearing hats then, and the women were wearing nice coats, and they're all lining up with a paper plate or tin plate, whatever it was, to get food. It was very strange. But we managed, and then of course we had to go back to school. And since we didn't speak any English at all at the time, we only spoke German, and there were all these German refugee children who were refugees at that point. We went into the school, which was an English school, because foreign children did not go to Chinese schools. And so we went in there, and the school teacher had about 50 or 60 kids sitting there. When we weren't sitting, we were completely out of bounds because we hadn't been to school for a long time, and we were not very nice people at the time, not very nice kids. So we made a lot of noise. And she's trying to teach us, and she only speaks English and we only speak German. So what do you think she does? She sings songs at us. She stands there and she's singing things like old English songs, which you kids probably don't know, but you probably know. Oh, Susanna, I come from Alabama with my banjo money. You know that song? Does anybody know that? Or I do. Okay, good. And we didn't know what a banjo was. We didn't know what an Alabama was. We didn't know what she's talking about. But you know what? We all sang with her because there was nothing else to do. And we all learned English very quickly because we had no choice. So we sang and we learned to read and write very quickly. And we managed, but we had terrible accents. And I know when I hear it now, it was really bad. Because German and English are two very different languages. My father got a job. My mother stayed home in the little room that we had. And we tried to get the relatives out of Europe, and as I said, we were not successful. We lost practically all of them. And but at the time, we didn't know that. So we were living there and hoping to eventually go back home again. Home was Germany. But that wasn't happening. Then came Pearl Harbor. Now you all know what Pearl Harbor meant, right? Okay. The war between Japan and America. And if you had been American citizens at that point living in Shanghai, the Japanese would have put you in detention camps. The Americans, the British, and the Dutch were all put in detention camps. They were not as bad as concentration camps, but they were not good. There was not enough food, hygiene was very bad, and all their things were taken away, their houses was taken away, their money, everything was taken away. So, but then the Japanese didn't know what to do with us. There's 20,000 Jewish refugees sitting here that don't belong to any particular group. And so the German government sent over Colonel Meisinger, and I'm not making this up, I'm not making any of the story up. And he came and talked to the Japanese because they were allies. And he said, get rid of those Jews. You don't need 20,000 Jews around here. Kill them. And he brought with him a Cyclone B gas container. And this has been documented. It's real. And he said, we're using this stuff in Europe, and it kills the Jews. And it gases them, and then we cremate them, and it works. And the Japanese didn't want to go quite that far. So he said, well, put them on ships and put them out on the Wangpu River and punch holes in the ships and drown them all. And the Japanese again said, nah, we don't want to really do that for reasons of their own. So they decided in the end that they would put us in a ghetto. I think you all know what a ghetto is, more or less, right? It's a small area where you put people and you watch them and see that they don't do anything. So all the Jewish people who came into Shanghai after 1937, which included us, because we came in 1939, had to move into a very small area by the river. And that was called a segregated area, but in reality it was a ghetto. And so about 20,000 of us had to move into this very small area. And there wasn't enough room because it was a very poor section altogether. That's where the ships landed, and that's where we had all lived at that point, except some people who moved into the city of Shanghai who had brought some money with them, and we didn't have any money left. So everybody had to move into this area. So we lived in one room in a house where every single room had one